Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, they're out there, and they're listening. And if you make a sound, they will kill you. Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, in A Quiet Place. Hush.
And welcome to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! Unchained from the content Nazis! Yes! Episode number 18. And coming off of last night's very tired and diminishing energy review of the movie that maybe I was a bit too hard on. I don't know. The Driller Killer. I know, sometimes watching movies when you're really tired is not necessarily the best way to review things, but honestly, I don't know, it has some good parts, but I just, you know, a lot of, just way too much of that band. The band. I'm still on the band. Anyways, moving on. So tonight, I decided to, review another more recent movie, one that came out this year. And that movie is the very opposite of my reviews. A Quiet Place. So what is A Quiet Place about? Well, apparently in the not too distant future, some sort of, I don't know, like alien or mutated creature things, whatever. I'm calling them aliens. Aliens invade Earth, not like, you know, a mass invasion in the way of like planned military action, but whatever. Creatures appear on Earth, and they are very sensitive to sound. Actually, they're blind, and they will find their prey, because obviously aliens need to eat everything that makes noise that is not a tree or branch or anything like that. And so they use the sounds that are being made to find their prey and then devour them. So we have this family who, well, at the beginning of the movie anyways, it's only about 86 days into the situation, and they are gathering supplies. One of the kids needs some sort of medicine, so they're at a drugstore, and they're very quiet and they're very cautious because you can't make any noise. Well, one of the kids does something completely stupid and gets a noise-making space shuttle, and even after his father said, it's too loud, and takes the batteries out, the kid grabs it and puts the batteries in anyways, and then in one inexplicably placed moment where it's like, it's going to be really bad for me to do this right now. I'm going to trigger the sound, and of course, you know, tragedy happens. Fast forward to the 400-something other day, I forget. The family is going through their daily motions, except the wife is pregnant, so they're creating a kind of like a really quiet room, a quiet place, so that they can have the baby. They're going to have a crib specially set up with oxygen so that they can close it like a casket. But then the kid's crying and stuff won't attract the monsters, because apparently little noises like dropping something can totally trigger them, even though, like, you know, rustling of leaves and wind and stuff like that apparently doesn't. So that's basically the movie. They're just trying to survive. They're trying to have this kid. They're trying to get food and whatnot and live their daily lives. And of course, a series of events happen that puts them in danger of these creatures. So, let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and gore, I am going to give it a 2 out of 5. Look, there is not a lot of violence in this movie, but there are a few bloody moments, and a good headshot of one of the monsters is seen, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a little bit for that. So 2 out of 5, though the monsters are pretty much CG for a lot of it, so that's kind of a bad situation. But I digress. It's hard to create practical effects nowadays. Everyone wants to do it in computers. So, boo. 2 out of 5. Shock me a lot. I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. There are some good jump scares because the sound editing is wonderful in this movie. The sound design, there's a lot of silence, so there's a lot of just any kind of noise will just mess you up, and you're like, oh no, is that going to do something? Is that going to do something? Is that going to do it? They're going to bring anything. So yes, it does make a lot of tension in this movie because of the sound design, the way it works, the way that it is very silent. It is definitely gets your tension up there and kind of leaves it at a heightened level, which then, when the shocks happen, much more impact. So 3 out of 5. Plot, I am also going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's a great premise. I think similar things have been done before, where sound is going to get you killed. Dead silence is one of those type of movies. However, there are a lot of conveniences. There are a lot of things that don't make sense. There are things that happen in this movie that are just happen so that the plot can continue on and we have a story. Like there is a nail, stuck in the steps, and it's going up and it's sharp, and it makes no sense because it just appears there eventually. Throughout the movie, this is a stairs that apparently is used many times every day. It goes to the husband's central command where he's trying to contact via radio anybody else out there using Morse code. And so all of a sudden there is a nail right in the footsteps area. It just shows up. It's going up, which makes no sense because you're usually nailed down. And I don't know what it would be nailing to, because there no support. It doesn't look like there would be any need for support in that particular portion of the steps. But whatever, it's there, so someone can step on it and make noise and scary stuff. There's also a scene where water is leaking, and it's leaking at such a rate and making enough noise that one of the main characters is near it, but doesn't hear it, even though they've been living in kind of like a lot of silence. So you would think they get a little bit more sensitive to that stuff, and yet completely ignores it, and it's falling at such a rate that after like a few minutes, the place that it's leaking into, which is kind of sizable, is already like up to your knees in water. Yeah, just like that. I mean, you would think you would hear that waterfall at that point. And also the monsters would hear that waterfall at a point. So yeah, there are definitely some situations. Another thing is I didn't see any solar panels. I could have missed them, so correct me if I'm wrong. And of course a generator would be way too dang loud for this situation. So how do they have electricity in this farm area? It's like kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I don't get it. I don't get how they get electricity. I don't know how they have running water. It's over a year into the apocalypse. I think those systems would not be functioning properly. So I don't know. It kind of doesn't make sense. Another thing is also they gather fish at a river, and there's a waterfall, and it makes a lot of noise, and they can talk around there, and so of course those monsters probably avoid areas that are very noisy, because it will be hard for them to locate their prey and eat. So my question is, why don't you live by the river or other noisy areas so that you can kind of eliminate some of the problems of life? Because one of the things in this movie doesn't really show very often is that just doing everything makes noise. Breathing makes noise, sighing makes noise. makes noise. The kid laughed about something. He's like, that makes noise. Hell, the summertime in Poland, someone's gonna freaking sneeze. That's gonna make noise. You're gonna probably get a cold during winter. That's gonna make noise. I mean, everything makes noise. So it just, I don't know how you could live so far in silence. But those are kind of nitpicky. Some of them are a little bit bigger. So yeah, 3 out of 5 instead of something more. Acting, I am gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Look, they do a wonderful job, a marvelous job with emoting and communicating. Although they do use sign language, I don't know anything about sign language, so I don't know how accurate it is, but I'm assuming it's pretty accurate. But yeah, there's a lot of emoting through facial, body expressions and stuff like that, and I think they do a wonderful job. It carries the movie. A movie that doesn't have a lot of vocal speaking can become kind of slow and uninteresting, but the performances are solid and keep you invested, and it's a wonderful job. Kudos to the actors. 5 out of 5. Nudity, the 0 out of 5. There's really no place for it in this movie. Like, no, just no place. Anyways, so 0 out of 5. Enjoyment factor, I am giving it a 3.5 out of 5. It is very entertaining. It is very intriguing. You're there. You're locked in. And it's a pretty good movie. Yes, I would love it to have practical effects. I would love to have there being a bit more gore and violence, but it is a PG-13 movie, so you can't quite have that. So there you go. Maybe a little bit more story. It does have a pretty badass ending. I will say that. A pretty badass ending. And, So, sorry, my notes just flopping around. So 3.5 out of 5. Overall impression, 3.5 out of 5. Look, there are just some things in this movie that just irks me. It makes no sense. And therefore, I can't give it a higher score. But 3.5 out of 5 is still above average and pretty dang good, in my opinion. So 3 out of 5. And that averages out to a 2.9 out of 5. A very solid movie. A good watch. I would recommend it also, yes, not like the best, but definitely very good. And PG-13, so hey look, another example of a PG-13 movie that doesn't completely blow and suck and all that other crap. So there you have it, A Quiet Place. Tell me what you think in the comments. Have you watched A Quiet Place? Am I right? Is there just some things that make sense? Or no, I'm completely wrong, and you can explain it to me in intricacies down in the comments, because I'm such an ignorant fool. Whatever, I don't know. But no, I'm saying it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Just, it is almost grasping greatness, but just some of the things are just, too like, oh, come on. That nail, that water thing, they have electricity, stuff like that. How did they gather all that equipment and not make a lot of noise? I don't know. I don't know how they build that situation with the lights and stuff like that without making a lot of noise. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm being way too cynical. Maybe I'm being too hard on this movie too. I don't know. I mean, it's still good. It's still good and entertaining. And it's a suggestible watch. So anyways, there you have it. Episode number 18 is in the books. And as always, Internet, I will see you next time on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. And you guys in the Internet, guys and gals and everybody, stay scary. And remember, don't just take away the noisy toy for the kid. Keep it away from them. And then have the kids walk in front of you so you can always keep track of what they're doing, as opposed to having them walk behind you and you don't know what they're doing. They could be doing fuck all for all I know. Just a little, just a little more, moment. All right, there you go. Ah!